Welcome back to the Breaker Bros, and tonight we're going to have our reaction against Bengals versus Falcons, and then our prediction for Bengals versus Browns. But I guess starting off, what's your immediate reaction to the Falcons game?
It was a good win. It's good to be above 500, right? I mean, it feels,
The
it's like
monkey's
one of
off
those
your back.
games. Well, I guess. It was just weird because, uh, we expected at this point in the season to be above 500. And then, going into the game with the Falcons, I was thinking, or at the beginning of the season, the expectation was the Falcons would be bad and they'd be an easy win, right? And then the Falcons started winning a little bit, and they were basically in the same spot as the Bengals. And, I mean, the Bengals have done okay this year against running teams, but seemed like, running teams were kind of like a weakness. So I was a little bit nervous going into the game. And then, it didn't last long because the Bengals, like we said, we were hoping they'd score early. And then you score early, it changes the game, right? And that's what happened. Because the Falcons aren't built to come back from behind, so the Bengals kind of put up some points early and never looked back, really.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was kind of worried about the run too, because not only are we missing our best defensive, or especially interior defensive line with Reader, but Tupou, or I think it's Tupou, right? He was out. And I think we picked up Shelvin from the practice squad.
Yeah,
I guess there was.
Shelvin's a big guy. I mean,
He's a big guy,
he
but
was,
I think he's almost like not agile either. So I think he has a tendency to be pushed around a little bit. Now, if he, which is, you would think it's kind of backwards because being a bigger guy, you have more mass, right? But I think quickness wise, like laterally, that's where he gets into problems, right? When things shift, he's not in position. Thus, whoever's blocking him, I think they get better leverage, and that's probably why he's able to get pushed around more than what he should. But yeah, not that he had a bad game.
I don't know. Anybody that is that big, I like,
Right, but the
thing
is,
you can't say anything bad about a man that big. I'm just saying,
well,
it's good that we have him.
I'm not saying anything bad. I feel like
I don't think he gets pushed around.
Reality, I
think he just clogs it up.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, he can clog it up. But I mean, like I said, I think maybe his issue's more like, yeah, if you run into him, right, which maybe it's going to happen, but typically they're going to try to run around the biggest object. But
yeah,
I think that's just where he gets in problem. But I mean, really, what I'm trying to say is they perform really well.
Shelvin's biggest issue is that the Bengals have a lot of good interior defensive linemen, and he's just having a hard time finding playing time. But yeah, I mean, like the idea.
I would categorize
having a guy with his size playing more.
Well, I think they like the idea too. That's why they drafted him. But at the same time, if he was, as dominant as what they think he could be, I think he would also be on the roster too. Now, obviously, he's on the roster.
Maybe he's just a gamer. Maybe he's just a gamer. It doesn't show it in practice, but in games, right? He likes it when the lights are on.
Yeah, but I think they're taking some of, or maybe a lot of his games into account too. The time he was able to play, he was on the roster a significant amount of time, especially I think in the playoffs. But he still didn't see that much playing time. I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming he's missing something. But on the bright side, how is it? Telefulu, or it's one of the people that we picked off another roster.
Yeah, I thought he played well last week. I really noticed him playing last week.
Yeah, and then he had like the same result this week. He had some really big plays. I actually saw a play where there was like 3 people on him. It was crazy. Like they literally had 3 blockers.
Well, I mean, there's a premium in the NFL on pass rushing, so I feel like it's an easier task to supplement like run defense than it is to supplement pass rush, right? So, I mean, I don't, I mean, other teams are trading for pass rushers. It would be nice if the Bengals could add a defensive end from, like just another guy to add to the rotation for the pass rush. But I mean, the Hubbard, has been getting to the quarterback a little bit more than I guess he has in the past. So, maybe they do have enough, but it would be nice to see another pass rusher. But sorry, I went off on a tangent there. But
Well,
um,
Osai, he got his first sack,
he
so
got
that
his
was
first
yeah, it
sack,
was nice to
and
see.
yeah, it was great to see him playing and contributing. Because I know, like in the beginning of the season, it seemed like he was playing a lot. Like they would put him on the inside and then have Hendrickson play on the outside together. But I guess because Hendrickson had the stinger, he came out, so Osai got to play that defensive end position. It seemed, I mean, it was the last play of the game, right? Or the last offensive play for the Falcons.
Yeah, he
So,
got that sack.
I mean, it was a crucial sack, right? Because that's pretty much what ended the game. So I don't want to
Yeah,
make light of it. I'm just saying, it was a good sign, and maybe that's the start of big things. Because I think 2 years ago we really liked how he played in the preseason. So hopefully, he's able to add kind of like that pass rush that I was mentioning.
yeah. So like, I feel like we kind of, or at least I kind of said something about it. It's like I feel like this was a game where we could just kind of dominate the whole time, and something I would like to see. And I feel like we actually did it. So like, it feels good. I mean, there was definitely times in the game where I just kind of like, why do we? Like we went on the fourth down. It's like, okay, I don't mind that you go for a fourth down, but we always do weird plays sometimes on fourth down, and we didn't convert.
Hmm.
But it's like, but I mean, outside of that, like I think there was like a 5 minute span where basically the Falcons scored all their points, like the 17 points in like 5 minutes. It was kind of weird because like the
Hmm.
one thing I thought was kind of funny. So we went up 21-0 quick, right? And
Hmm.
then that possession that the Falcons had, they took 10 minutes or something like that off the.
Yeah. Yeah, they're
Uh,
just not built to come back from
it was
behind.
it was so funny. I was just like, I can't believe they're doing this. Like I kept on thinking, like every
Yeah,
time they ran it for first down, I was like,
right, right.
like they were
It's
helping us. I'm like, I just really
yeah,
respect a
yeah,
team that will not go away. I was like, you're down 21 points and you're still running the ball.
yeah. Well,
That
it's
is
sort of like,
like,
what's one of the things that you were like, could the Bengals run 10 minutes a clock and still score? And it's
yeah,
just like, oh, they don't have to. The Falcons are gonna run the clock for them. They just
yeah,
can keep doing what they could just keep scoring points and let the Falcons run the clock out and end the game.
yeah.
But
I
you know,
think, and then yeah, like I said, then that last offensive series that we had before the end of the half was pretty
mhm.
bad too. It was like
Yeah, but
there's a
don't
few other
you don't
games where
you
we're
feel don't you feel like part of what the Falcons did is kind of like an analytics kind of thing? Like it just seems like, somebody did the analysis or the math or whatever, and they were like,
well, because if they
if
score and they
we're
get the ball back, right, and we
well,
don't
just if
score,
you're a running
it's still
team, right?
21 to
It doesn't
14,
it doesn't do you any good to try to be something that you can't do, right?
right?
So it's sort of like maybe that's like a flaw with like old school way of thinking, right? Like if you're a running team and you get behind big, you should start throwing it. And they were probably just like, no, the math says we should just keep running it
Well, I mean, if you think about
because
it, they kind of played it right because at the end of the half, it ended up being just what 20. I mean, we were still up pretty big, 28 to
17.
17. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, and actually, it was even it was 21 to no, it was 21 to 14, I think, at one point.
Yeah.
And
No,
then
I
we
wonder
got
what the like win probability would be like for that game then.
it was weird. It
You know
probably
how they
flipped.
do that?
It probably went up like it kind of went back and forth, probably like the last 5 minutes of the half, but because it was just like so many big plays because like they scored that touchdown and then we kind of had a weird uh wait it was yeah it was 21 to 17. Yeah, because they scored their second touchdown on like a 60-yard touchdown, and I still think that was within the last minute of the half, or yeah, within the half. It was like down to the last minute, and they scored that 60-yard touchdown. And then when we had our last offensive series, like we could have literally just taken off 40 seconds of time.
Yeah, I'm trying to find because yeah, there it is.
But I'm pretty sure, like, whenever Jamar Chase scored his touchdown, that pretty much sealed the deal.
Let's see if
But I think we kind of talked about it last week too. But I think that's the part where I think Zach Taylor probably does the best, is that I feel like he really does understand the pulse of the game. Because like I said,
yeah,
even where I was kind of upset with how they managed like the last series of the first half, and then sometimes they do weird options for like 4th and 1. It doesn't take away the fact that we went up 21-0, and it was just big plays everywhere. I saw like a crazy stat where Joe Burrow had, I think, like 228 yards in the first quarter, which was like more than quarterbacks, like 12 quarterbacks had in the full game this past Sunday.
that's more than he had week 1, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you're 250 yards a game, that's probably what, a little bit above average. That's probably where you want to be.
Yeah, what would that be? There's in the old 16 game season, because that's kind of what we're calibrated to, right? That's 2,500 plus, what another, geez, it'd be like almost 4,000 yards, 3,500 to, or I'm sorry, 3,700 ish.
What if
I think.
you average 250?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
not
So
bad.
that would be well above average then.
Yeah, I
So right
mean
now, I think
250,
I want to say Joe
250
Burrow's
is
average
a
is
game.
299 now after those last couple of games. But
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, I did the math wrong.
well,
250 times 16 is 266. No, I did it wrong. I hit the wrong button. 250 times 16 is 4,000.
yeah. So yeah, that's well above average.
Yeah.
It seems like defenses are a little bit more stingy this year. Like it definitely took, I guess, defensive coordinators several years to kind of catch up to whatever was going on with the major changes in the NFL. Oh, I guess it's probably pretty much the last decade.
All the rule changes where they make it illegal to play defense and hit quarterbacks and
Well, that, and defensive receiver was a big penalty, right? So like,
yeah. Well, all the new penalties are like, it seems like there are a lot of new penalties against the defense. And it's like if you buy a new toy, you want to play with it, right? So it's sort of like it gets called because they talk about it. If you want to show, I do have the win probability thing I was talking about. It's not super interesting, but since we talked about it, so it started off, the Bengals were like a 74% predicted win probability according to ESPN analytics. I don't know what that means. I can't explain it, but like if you go through the game, like it went up above 80% when the Bengals scored. And then let's see if we can get so it went up to like 92% when the Bengals scored again, and then 96%. But you see it kind of goes up. I don't know. It doesn't show what I thought it would show, but I'm sure. Actually, I'm not sure, but I'm going to throw it out there that I think that there's something to just keep doing what you do, right? Because if nothing else, you keep the game close, right? If someone has an offense that can score, all those points, you're better off shortening the game, right? So,
well, that,
so
I
let's talk.
mean, analytics aside, it's just that if you score, because they basically scored the touchdown towards it was at the end of the second quarter, and then if their defense can hold our offense out, at the very least, it could be 27 going into the half, and they get the ball back. They score the
Yeah,
first
or
possession.
I mean, I guess if you get a
21-14. So
turnover,
like,
right?
well, that too,
Keep it
yeah.
close and hope for a turnover or something weird to happen.
Well, or like, like optimistically, it could be like 21-14, like somewhat into the third quarter, and you're only down one possession. So it's like, to your point, it's like you play in what you did. That's what I was saying. Like, it was kind of admirable to watch them just keep running. I'm like, this is great, because it's like you're just running the time off. Like it's just, the more and more you run, it's just like you're just kind of helping us out.
It feels like like watching it and while like during the game, I was like, okay, yeah, this is exactly what we want, right? We want them to run the clock out, but then, you know, it must say, like, the math must say that, okay, well, you know, like we're looking at, like there's your chance of winning is very low unless you get like a turnover or something. So it's like maybe you just keep playing the way you play and hope that you can get like a big turnover or something, and that would flip it, as opposed to like, you know, that you can't drop back and throw it every single time with the way their team's built, right? Like their best way of playing is to run it. So
Yeah,
yeah, it was interesting to see him be disciplined like that.
and kind of to go along with what you're saying, I think that's pretty much what Joe Burrow meant last week. I thought maybe it was just like the RPOs, what he was talking about, but I think in general, when we just play out of the shotgun, we're such a more effective and maybe diverse offense.
Well, because every time they line up under center, they run it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, like it's in.
Except for like weird. The 3 times they try play action, right? And
well, I guess like when we throw,
you can guess the play action
over 400 yards of offense, and we get 3 receivers basically at 100 or more yards. Like, you don't need your rushing attack to average like insane amount of yards. Like, you just got to keep getting the first down, and that's pretty much what they did. Every time they ran, they got the first down that they needed, which was only a couple of yards. It was weird because like the running game kind of reverted back to
plays, right?
Yeah, and then like I guess another one would be like Mixon, his touchdown, because it was on the goal line, but it's still very impactful.
That was like a total cluster, man. Somehow they scored, but it was just like, it just did not look good to me.
I mean, if you rewatch it, everything. I mean,
I did rewatch it.
He kind of slipped up a little bit, and then. I mean, there was still
but I mean, Volson got beat on that. I mean, he like his man was the guy that tripped up. Like if Volson wouldn't have gotten beaten, then Mixon wouldn't have had to make such a big move to get outside to the hole, and he wouldn't have. It would have been a lot easier to just run. Instead, he had to avoid that guy, and then he slipped, and then just barely made it. So you know.
You know what I realized?
It's effective, right?
Offensive linemen are very much like cornerbacks, because like you have to be perfect on every play. You just mess up on a few plays, like people are like on you. I don't know, because like I feel like overall the offensive line played.
It's always the same guy.
Well, because he's a rookie, he's probably gonna be the one that's making the most mistakes. At least we hope, right? If it's gonna be anyone,
I don't blame him. I don't blame him.
But overall, you gotta admit, like like. Yeah, we have our bad plays, but I think that's today's NFL. Like you're gonna just there's so many good pass rushers, right?
I don't know, man. It just looks different when the Bengals run it.
No,
it does not look like other NFL teams when they run the ball.
Yeah, but you're only focusing on the bad plays, like for instance, when we took the ball in our last position and we ran off
what was the biggest run play of the game? Like 10 yards?
Yeah, but that's all we needed. Why? But we did what we have to do with the run. And I guess is ultimately what was my point. Is that our running was underwhelming.
It just doesn't look good.
Well, that's the thing. If we're throwing for 400 yards, it doesn't need to be that great. It just needs to be effective in the sense that they're just extending drives, and that's basically what they did with the run game. Like literally, like on the first couple of drives, when we needed 3 or 2 yards, that's literally what we got when we ran it, but we still got the first down. And that's like literally all we need. That way it gives us 3 more shots to get another first down. And for like, we were just so good, like all around. Like I just like when I reflect, like, and I look back on the game, there was just so many big plays. Like that Boyd touchdown, the first one for like 60 yards, he could have threw it to T. Higgins too, and he would have had a touchdown for that many yards. But it was
the safety. There was someone sitting in like the 400 section that got the safety with a sniper shot. The safety was just laid out on the floor.
I think it was just obviously we beat him, right? But I think if you just watch it, because it was just poetry in motion, because it was just like everyone was so in sync. But literally what happened, I think, it was that the safety was watching both of them come out, and he was watching Higgins about to break, and as Higgins was about to break, he saw Boyd break, and he kind of saw 2 people go at once.
Yeah.
And I think that's what kind of messed him up because he was like, crap, he's got to guard 2 people. And when he did that, he just
Yeah.
like fell over.
Somebody got him with like a tranquilizer dart.
It was the turf
hit
monster.
him in the hamstring.
I mean, but
just
I
got
think,
him.
but no, it was just like when I rewatched it, like when I saw the initial replay, it just looked so good. It's like, oh, obviously that's why he threw it because the safety fell down. But then when I saw like the detailed, like the reverse angle, and you can kind of see, it was just honestly, it was just really good route running by everyone. But everyone at the top of the play, basically Boyd and Higgins, they were just so wide open because that safety fell over, and then
Yeah,
Boyd
I
went
just
off,
feel like it's
chases
just
a monster.
it's just a lot of getting modest gains in the middle of the field kind of gives them more plays, right? Just taking the dump offs to the tight end and hitting things in the middle of the field to convert to get first downs, then you get the chance to you get the opportunity to take a play to go for a deep shot, right? Whereas I feel like at the beginning of the season they were just very impatient, and it's just like when they would go like 3 and out, then next time they came out they wouldn't take like the 5-yard or the 6-yard gain. It was like they felt like, hey, we're the Bengals, we're Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. We need to be hitting 40-yard passes along the sideline, right? Instead of just taking the 5 or 10-yard gain. And I feel like that's kind of what flipped to me.
Well, kind of. I think they just understand because they went through it so many times. They know all the options now, right? It's just kind of like taking the test over and over. You just remember like the right options.
Yeah, I mean that's part of it too. Like you're a lot faster. Well, because
like
if everybody does the
over
same
the
thing.
course of time, I think what's happening is that we're really starting to hit our stride, and this is like everything's pointing in the right direction for us.
Yeah,
but I think it was just a combination of things because not only are like they're just picking defenses apart, it's just like he's getting the ball out so quickly and so accurately. But the line is also protecting a little bit better, and then like the receivers are running much like crisper routes. So it's like I think everyone's finally in sync, and I think this was a big confidence game. I guess I just want to say one thing. I guess before we go back, or go into the Browns week, week 8, is that thinking about it, I get so into the game sometimes, and I get kind of wrapped up. But then when I think about it, I just want to. When it comes to like Joe Burrow, and I think why everything's so exciting is that he just makes the games fun again, because like
he's an amazing player.
Yeah, it's just crazy, like, and I think that's why there's so much optimism within the city and so much energy is just that we just know what we have because of all the things that happened before, and it's just this one just feels so right. And like you only understand that
he's a great player. I mean, Jamar Chase too. I mean, I think that,
and
everything is working out. There's an argument to be made that maybe
here's the thing.
Chase is the best player on the team.
He could be like athletically when you look at it, but I think, and I think too, sometimes when it comes to players, it's what's behind just the athleticism, or I guess maybe essentially what's inside that player itself. And I think that's always been with Joe Burrow, is that he just sees the game on a different level. And I think that kind of, and one more thing too, is just like, in credit to Zach Taylor too, like he may not be the best play caller out there, or whatever, but in terms of putting a team together, and keep in mind, he's the one that found Lou, right? And he's such an underrated coach. It's unbelievable how underrated he is.
Yeah, if Lou Anarumo is not a head coach next year,
I don't think he will. I think it's gonna be like a Zimmer situation where it just takes a little while, but I think he'll eventually get it.
You think he must be? Is he got like a potty mouth like Zimmer or something?
I don't know, but like it should have happened last year. I thought. I was like,
I mean, I could see it not happening after 1 year, right? Because they didn't lose any.
Where is he gonna go?
I don't know. There's gonna be. I mean,
what would be?
Show my screen. Let's see. This is kind of like the current rankings according to 538, according to their statistics. So any of these teams at the bottom are probably going to be looking for coaches.
Well, not the Steelers. Probably,
why not the Steelers? No, you don't think so? Okay.
Probably not the
Texans,
Lions. Possibly the
not the Lions.
Texans.
Why would the Lions not be looking for a coach?
Because
Really, they need a new owner, but the
it's only
Panthers,
their head coach's second year. I think they really like him. I
Panthers for
think they would give
sure
him one more
are
year.
looking for a coach, right? They already fired their
But
coach.
I feel like the
There's always
Panthers
a
are more
job open in the
offensive.
NFL.
Like they're more offensive minded.
They're offensive.
Like the ones I could
Uh,
possibly see, maybe the Broncos,
Yeah, they're a defensive team.
Texans. That's pretty much it.
Okay. All right. Well, the real reason I wanted to show this is, the win got us to 4-3. So according to this, they had the Bengals as like what was that, the 6th best team in the NFL, according to whatever their ranking system is.
Which is
But
crazy because the Ravens beat us and we're one slot ahead of them. But
it was at the Ravens, so it was a close game.
It was.
But they have the Ravens as having a better probability of making the playoffs and better probability of winning the division, which makes sense because they have the tiebreaker.
Yeah, but that would obviously flip if we beat them the next go around. So
yeah. So here's the schedule, right? Whoops, wrong one. Hold on, there it is. So here's the schedule. So like, the Browns, Panthers, Steelers, Titans are all teams that are, according to this, ranked below the Bengals. But then, later on in the season, they do play the Bills and the Chiefs and, the Ravens and Titans. So these are going to be the difficult games. And, the Buccaneers, even though their record's down, are still ranked as a fairly good team, which, I wouldn't disagree with that.
Yeah, no, I mean,
the Buccaneers still scare me.
Don't scare me as much as, I don't know. I would have to see more, but I mean, I do kind of like them this week because it's a Thursday night game in Tampa. They are going against the Ravens, but they have lost 2 games in a row. So I feel like they're going to go all out, and they probably going to have that slight advantage too.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's not a slight advantage, but that home field advantage of just the Thursday night game.
So next week, right? So you want to start talking about the Browns?
Sure.
So the Browns ranked, well, lower than the Bengals, but this isn't exactly in numerical order. So maybe I was incorrect in saying that. Oh, they have the Bengals ranked as the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th best team.
Wow, it went up one.
Yeah, I didn't have it sorted the right way, or default. I didn't do anything. But anyways, the Browns, they have ranked way lower. Somewhere like, I'm seeing if there's, they have them above the Jets. But anyways, I was kind of poking around because, like, what's your general impression of the Browns, right? Like that they're going to try to run the ball, right?
Yeah, they're gonna be like the Falcons, but they're gonna be much more of a power running team. Like I think the blocking is gonna be definitely more solid. I think. Yeah, I mean, the Browns will have a lot more success. It's going to feel more like the Saints game, right, where they have almost 200 yards rushing.
It's interesting you say that because if you go on like a yards per carry ranking of offensive teams, the Browns and the Saints both average like 5.2 yards a carry, almost exactly. Well, no, exactly. They're very similar, and then the Ravens are actually a better running team than either of those two teams. But I guess the difference being that the Saints and the Ravens have a running quarterback, whereas the Browns do it all with their running backs, right?
I mean, my biggest thing is as long as we contain Chubb, I think we'll be fine. And
which the Bengals have not done. Because I remember very vividly watching Bengals games and just seeing just the back of Chubb's jersey going off into the distance, into the end zone.
He's just a different type of player. Like he's so good, man. Like his legs are so strong. Every time I watch, because I try to watch like all the divisional games like at the same time, and like every time I like catch the Browns play, especially when he runs, like he's just constantly carrying people and shredding people off. Like it's just but
I mean, all kidding aside, right? I really feel like there's something to the whole Baker Mayfield thing, and like I'm glad that the Bengals don't have to play Baker Mayfield because I feel like there's no way. Oh, geez, I'm gonna jinx it, but I'm gonna say it anyways. I feel like there's just no way that Jacoby Brissett can be as efficient as
This is literally going to be
Baker
my last week
Mayfield
saying it
was
because
against the Bengals.
I'm going to stop jinxing him. But I feel like between the three, Awuzie, Apple, and our nickel corner. Oh my gosh, I can't think of his name right now. One of them is going to get a pick this week. I feel like this would be the week that one of them will get their first pick of the season because they're due. Because they're always touching the ball. Like they literally. Hilton almost had another pick last week, so it's like I feel like this would be the week, especially with Brissett.
The weird thing about the Browns is that, like, if you look at their defensive stats, they don't have a ton of sacks. So here's a ranking of the sacks. Ironically,
the Bengals top 10.
No, this is reverse order.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. So we're bottom 10.
Yes. Yeah, top 10 is Cowboys. I wonder why.
And the Cowboys got another defensive tackle. Oh my God. They're going to be even a little bit better, I think.
Yeah. So the Browns are kind of middle of the pack. They're very similar, actually exactly the same as the Dolphins.
I mean, they're going to get their sacks. Like, I'm to the point. We just got to limit.
They're kind of like Dolphins Jets, right?
We just got to make sure those sacks don't happen at the most crucial times of the game, right? That's essentially what it's going to come down to. Like, I'm pretty confident the Browns.
Isn't that all like how you control the game, right?
I think the goal for us, right, is at least limited to 3 or less sacks. Like when you have, because I feel like Garrett will get his. Like he'll get 1. And then, or possibly 2, and then I feel like their other defensive end, I can't think of his name. He was a big prospect. I think he's been dealing with injury issues, but yeah, I mean, if we can contain it and just make sure that we limit the amount of times, because I feel like when it rains, it pours, especially with the offensive line. Like when we give up. It's like they get the sack or whatever. But in general, we've been holding steady for the majority of the time, and there have been a lot more cleaner pockets. So, like, the main thing for us is that I don't necessarily expect it to be like what it was against the Falcons, where it just seemed like we could just pick them apart all day. But I do see us having, like, quite a few, like, sustainable drives and just a lot of... We're going to have our fair amount of big plays, right? Maybe not as much as
I think it's important to get ahead early.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like the Browns are more likely to fall into the trap of, if they get behind, to try to throw it a little bit more than they should.
Well, not only if they get in behind early, or even if they're up, they're kind of easy to catch up to. Like, they're not... I don't know.
They shouldn't be.
I just... this is kind of like the same mentality going into the Falcons. It's like, we don't want to... take them for granted, or we don't want to underestimate them. But we also just want to show control and just be dominant again, right?
It's going to be a wild environment, though, right? Because it's a Monday Night Football game on Halloween.
Yeah, I mean Halloween, but I do expect a lot of Bengals fans to be there.
Be pretty crazy, I think.
Yeah, but I think there's going to be a lot of Bengals fans there.
You want to look at the odds?
Sure. But I do think there's going to be a lot of Bengals fans there.
Yeah.
There's no way the Browns fans are that optimistic at 2-5.
Yeah, but the Browns fans are good fans. They'll show up.
I mean, they're loyal, but I just don't think it's...
It's a Monday Night Football game, man. Everybody gets excited about Monday night, right?
I guess.
You don't?
Like I said, I think there's going to be quite a few Bengals fans there. I think Bengals fans are probably even more excited. And Cleveland's not terribly far away.
That's about, was it 3 hours?
It's not too bad.
Hours? Yeah. Okay, so Bengals are favored. Over under is 46.5. I think this implies like what, a 26-21 Bengals victory or 25-22 Bengals victory, somewhere in that range. So what are you thinking in terms of score?
I feel like it's probably. I don't know. The Browns can always be weird. It has the potential to be one of those games where it's like 40-30 something. But I see it because they are a pretty good running team, and they're probably going to have a few like long drives. I want to say 24-17 Bengals.
Okay. So you're taking the under, and then what was it, 24-17? So the under and the Bengals cover is your prediction.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. You just got that turnover thing in my head. So I'm seeing like a pick six maybe. So I'm gonna go like 31 31-17.
Wow.
So, yeah. So I'm taking the over.
Why?
I'm feeling
I feel,
sporty. You just said like you feel like it's the Bengals are due for a pick, and I'm like, okay, let's go pick six. Sounds good.
that's fairly confident. I mean, I like it.
I'm saying it's close, and then there's a pick six.
I
And then
feel like this is a complete
what seals
180
the
from
game.
like week 2 to like week 7. I mean, man, week 2 we were saying we were 93% not going to make the playoffs.
I think that was week three. After week 2, before week 3.
Yeah. After week 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, I'm not contradicting you. I'm just being clear.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. No, you're right.
Yeah. No,
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm optimistic this week. So
I like it. No, I want to be that optimistic, but
yeah.
Like it's weird because and you're probably, and I hope you're more right than I am too, but like it's just hard for me. I want to see the consistency first before I start predicting it. But I don't know. I mean, there's a lot to be excited about because it's just like it feels like I guess if you think of it in terms of like chess, it's like we figured out how to make our next move. Now it's up to the defenses to make
Yeah,
their
I
next
mean,
move,
that was the thing, right? I mean, I think we're on the same page there. It's just like the league, I want to say towards the end of last season started changing how they're playing the Bengals, and the Bengals have come up with their counter to that. And I mean, and they have the personnel for it. I mean, their tight end, Hayden Hurst is good. Tyler Boyd's good. I mean, they're built to, challenge that defense as well, and they've been doing it. So I think the offense is back where we expected it, or is where we expected it to be at the beginning of the season. So it's good to see it, right? So, and I expect it to stick around because now they've come up with their counter move to this other defense, and then we know what they do against the way when people are playing single high safety. So now if you do cover 2, that doesn't work either. Just because I mean we're very high on the players the Bengals have, right? We just think that Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, those are really good receivers. No team in the NFL has anything that approaches that level of talent in terms of
I would go as far as if you talk about top 4, or I'm sorry, 3, 4, and maybe even 5 receiving options. The Bengals are probably the best, right? You go from 3, 4, and 5. If you add in Hurst and even Mixon in the backfield as your 5th, that's a pretty nasty combination.
Well, I think more so because you have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins at 1 and 2. I mean, doesn't matter who your 5 is.
Speaking of that, before, not that we have to end right now, but before we end, and I just want to, because I'm thinking about it, because I meant to say anything about it. That pass that Burrow had to Mixon when he like rolled out to the right, he just Like when you watch it from the sidelines, I mean, it looks good. But then when you see like
Yeah.
the other angle, oh my gosh, that was such
Yeah.
a great pass. Like I'm
Yeah.
surprised more people weren't even talking about it.
Yeah, I remember yelling at the TV when that happened. I was like, I couldn't believe. I was like, that was a great play by Joe.
Yeah, yeah. It was just like one of those plays where like that's Burrow. Like that's how you can like you
Yeah.
can't like that.
Yeah,
He made a
it's
really
not
difficult
as
pass like easy. Like it was just so he just
yeah.
did it so nonchalant, and it was just
It's
like
not as splashy as like Mahomes doing like the, no look pass kind of stuff, but it's sort of like
s-
one of those types of plays where it's just like the defense will watch that over again and be like, well, we can't do anything better than what we just did
no,
there.
really,
That
yeah,
was
yeah.
just
Because like, what are you gonna do? Like you just can't.
yeah, they're like,
Because
we
they
did
weren't
everything we
necessarily in
could.
bad position. It was just the way he
Yeah.
threw the ball, and maybe that's what he does the best out of anyone is that he just knows how to put the right touch on it. Like
Yeah.
some quarterbacks just have one speed where they just all they know how to do is hard, right? Sometimes I hear
Mhm.
that in the NFL is where they have to coach him to kind of throw it a little bit softer,
Mhm.
certain situations just to make it a little bit more catchable. But
Yeah.
like but that's the thing about him. He just like gets it. He just knows the right like because
Right.
even that
Like
pass to the sideline with Jamar Chase,
mhm.
where he dropped it in between like the corner and safety, like they said that Jamar Chase said that was his best pass to him ever. But I don't know,
Yeah.
like, but that pass to Mixon was like I think probably even better than that pass because it was just like he was rolling out,
Yeah.
Mixon was on the move, and he just literally just tossed it right over it, like it was just kind of like a knuckleball almost, but I mean it wasn't, but it was just like
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
very like
and
soft
the
pass. It
body
was just
control and being on the move.
yeah, it was just
It was a
like,
good play. Yeah.
but yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there because I just when I saw the back angle of it, I was like, holy crap, because I think they called it the coaches 22 where you can see all the 22 players. That's what I was like,
Yeah.
that looks way better from the end zone. Like, well, no, but it's right. You're right because
Yeah.
like if you're in coaches field, like I'm sure they're gonna be like because they did pretty much everything right. It's just like you
Yeah.
can't. That's just a
Yeah.
elite
Oh,
player
yeah,
doing elite things.
I wanna say one more thing too.
Sure.
Uh, Drew had the over on the game, I think.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, he had the over.
Nice.
He put it in the comments section, even though Drew's
Oh,
not supposed to know what the over means. He's too young to gamble.
well, they can know what it means. They just can't, I guess, participate, right?
Yeah, no participation, but you can write your prediction in the comment section.
That's I think that's what he was doing, right? So he
That's what he did. Yeah, so
it's in the YouTube bylaws. It's okay.
it's okay.
If
It's
it's just in
okay
the
to say, hey,
comment
I think
section.
yeah, it's just in the comments are not gambling. So if I guess anybody that sees this, you can put your prediction in the comments.
I actually feel better
And
about this week because like with your prediction, I kind of definitely surprised me. So like I'm glad you're optimistic. That
well, because this is a big game. I think people forget, or maybe people don't forget, but I think the record in the division is huge,
right
and
that
you need to get that victory because if they lose this game, at best they're going to be 500 in the division. Like they
right
need to have
yeah at
a
least a
winning
winning
record in the division.
that
It's a big
itself.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, you're right about that. Plus, in Joe Burrow's mind too, like he's never beat him. I know that's in the back of his mind because I've seen him mention it in an interview. I think
yeah.
with Colin, um,
Kaepernick.
no, Coward. I think he does like a
Yeah.
weekly podcast or like interview with him now.
Oh yeah. You should go Pat McAfee. Come on, Joe.
He's done a few of those, but he did. I mean, I think Aaron Rodgers does the weekly one with him, so I think they're
Yeah.
just kind of mimicking it, kind of.
Yeah.
Like,
Jamar Chase is on Pat McAfee. I saw that interview.
yeah, he
Yeah.
does a lot with the Bengals. I feel like I saw because he did
Yeah.
have one with Burrow earlier in the season. I think right before the season actually, it was in the preseason.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he had the one with Jamar Chase more recently, right?
Yeah, it was recent. It was recent. It was right after the Gesicki gritty. Everybody had to talk about that. So
I don't know. Like I feel like Mac Jones had probably the most goofiest dance, and then he gets hurt, and then he basically gets benched. So like,
Yeah. Did you see on Twitter where someone said that his pick was because he hit the cable that holds the sky cam? So like in real time, the throw looked really terrible, but then like when you watch it in slow motion, it actually hit the cable on the sky cam. So that's why it was such a bad pass. So it
from
really wasn't
Mac
his fault.
Jones.
Yeah. So it really wasn't his fault. And then he got pulled because he threw a pick that was terrible. I was like, oh, well, the throw wasn't terrible. I mean, how you can't, you probably didn't even see the cable, right? You probably
Right.
just was watching the guy and threw it to him and it hit the cable and it looked like he, you know,
But
threw a
but
dud. And
isn't the sky cam supposed to be like behind the action? Like,
well, but it's like suspended on like a whole gantry system of
oh yeah,
cables,
yeah, yeah,
and he
right.
hit one of the ones
Because
in
there's
front of
like
him.
4 of them, right? Or
Yeah,
maybe there
yeah.
might even be
Yeah, I
6.
think yeah. There's more than one or two though. But I mean,
Yeah.
he hit one of them,
Because
and
those, I find it interesting because I think those things can go up to what, like 25 miles per hour? They have to go as much as the players, right?
I don't know. You can zoom, right? You don't have to move the box that fast.
It does. Like, you ever see it on like kickoffs and stuff? It stays like right on top of the players and stuff.
Yeah,
So
but they're
like,
jogging.
no, not off like a real kickoff return, or like sometimes you'll see
I
like a
thought they do it
turnover.
like as the kicker's running up to the ball.
They just
That's
zoom.
easy. No, they run it and then
No,
I don't
no.
know.
I'm saying as
I don't
it
know how
like when
fast
they
it is.
like say they actually return the ball, right, and they're running the
I feel like
field.
this is something that's easily verifiable.
Google.
I'm just gonna Google it.
I'm gonna say probably 25 miles per hour.
It's like how fast. The first thing that pops up is how fast is Nick Chubb?
Wait, what?
Like
He's
when I type
actually,
in how fast in Google, it says how fast is Nick Chubb?
I feel like he's like
How
4.4. He's actually
fast
kind of fast.
Cam?
We could have got Nick Chubb. That's the crazy part.
Says 29 miles an
Okay,
hour.
yeah. See, that makes sense.
Okay.
That's crazy, but
Well,
that's
I
crazy
guess
to think about. Something go 20 miles an hour on freaking cables. Like,
it's not that crazy.
that's fast.
It's fast, but it's not that heavy, you know.
I feel like these cameras are pretty heavy.
I mean, relative to the strength of a steel cable, I don't think so.
Yeah. I guess I just, the way I picture it is like if it fell on someone, like how bad that would hurt. 'Cause there's
Okay,
always that
yeah,
potential.
yeah. I wouldn't want
But
it to fall on me. don't
well, I mean,
don't
it
drop the
has that
sky cam
potential,
on me.
right? When
But
it's like over 22 people. Well, I guess more than
yeah,
that if you
but I
include the
mean, like
refs.
steel cables can hold a lot of weight. You could tow a car with a steel cable, right?
Yeah, I'm sure a lot would have to go wrong for that to like actually fall off. But nonetheless, I guess the point I'm
I mean,
trying
they
to,
use steel cables to hold up like those scoreboards and stuff, right?
yeah,
I mean, that's so strong.
has to be.
Camera's not. Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, having watched Bengals games from my friend's season tickets spot, they've got like this geezer on this cart that right when any team gets to the goal line, like I can look down and see the goal line, and then all of a sudden this like geezer on this cart comes and just like parks right in front of my face.
So you're probably pro Skycam
Or drones. Why can't they just do a drone?
because
Why do you
drones are
need?
loud.
It's an NFL game.
Yeah.
I mean, come
I
on.
guess you could. I think they.
Like it doesn't need to be on the field because the guy's not on the field. He like parks like out of bounds on like this giant
But no, I
cart
think
with
in
like
general
this
drones are
thing.
loud. So like, I feel like it would be kind of annoying for the people at the game as well.
I don't think so. Well, you don't need the
Do you like
sound.
the
The
sound of
guy,
a weed eater?
the guy in the camera on the sideline, he does not contribute audio, right? The audio is all coming from the people in the booth, right? So why not just have like a drone hovering
No, there's
like
game sounds like you hear the
not in
whistles
front of
and
people's face? That's not from that camera guy though, right? Don't they have like that guy with the parabolic
you might be right about that.
microphone?
But I guess to what I was saying too,
I'm just saying
the people in the
like instead of that,
stands, like I feel like would be annoyed
I
by it too.
guarantee you, if you poll the people that sit in that section, they would be all for like a drone 2 feet above their head instead of like this like 4-ton cart like blocking like the entire like literally you cannot see like 4 yards in front of the goal line and 4 yards into the end zone. It's just like all you see is the back of this guy. Like,
No, I'm not gonna lie. That's probably. I don't know. I feel like you're underestimating the sound it would probably generate and
it would be like a hum, but it would only be when they're in on the goal line. And I'm just saying, like, compared to like a guy parked right in front of your face and like a hum, I would take the hum over. Because I mean, when it's on the goal line, you're especially if it's the other team, it's just noisy anyway. So who cares, right? It only would matter if it bothers
I just feel
Joe.
like it would have to be a pretty big drone to hold like one of those
cameras. It
cameras.
Be that big of a drone. They do like well, I don't know how big the drone is, but I assume that it's like you can do like an HD view, right? Like on Amazon for like $100, you can get an HD camera drone, right?
Yeah, but the quality is not that great compared to like.
I get that it's gonna be big, and it might make some noise, but I'm just saying the fact that it can be 10 feet above the fans, and you can point it right down the line, as opposed to some guy blocking the entire view, and then you can have one on the other side. I feel like you could get like some good views. And yeah, you have to deal with a little bit of noise, but you only bust it out when they're on the goal line, right?
I feel like their best idea was the pylon cam. Like,
yeah, no, pylon cam's not bad.
But if you ever look at it, you can tell like the quality is not as good as like what you get with those big ass cameras that they lug around. But
yeah,
I don't know. I'm sure eventually it would. I'm sure there's been thought about it though.
No, they should totally do that. Drone it up, man.
It'd be worth at least in the preseason. That's when you should try it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just saying. Or something, man.
Maybe they're worried like if the drone happens to go out and it like falls on several people, then what? But I guess you could have it on the back of the ticket that any drone accidents or
I don't know, man. Drones are pretty proven by now. I mean, drones are pretty good now, aren't they?
I would imagine by now, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty damn good. I mean, people they make drones that you can like get in, right? Like they're like the same design that you can like people can ride in them. I feel like
guess
it's
the
safe
grand
enough
scheme
for a
of
person.
things, what it comes down to is that they're not really worried about the 100 people that they probably piss off in the stands compared to like the millions of people that are probably watching on their TVs.
No, that's fair. That's fair. They for sure are not worried about the people in the stands because they do not, they're just, they don't care. They just right in front of your face.
No, that would suck though.
Yeah, I still remember. I the first game he took me to, I'm like sitting there, I'm like, man, this is amazing. We see it. We can see we are like right along the goal line. Like any goal line play, we were gonna have the best view. I just thought I didn't say it, and then like the Bengals get close to the goal line. I'm like, oh yeah, here it comes. All of a sudden, I see like this cart, beep 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 beep, beep right in front of my face. I'm like, damn it, this is the worst.
Do you have to watch like the jumbotron?
You just have to watch other fans and kind of try to sort of figure out what's going on, right?
Because I would imagine like on the jumbotrons, probably like.
Well, but the end zone's to the left, right? And then the jumbotron's above the opposite end zone,
right?
So, like, I guess I could not watch.
Wait, there's only one?
There's one behind, like in that position in the stadium.
There's
there
not
are two
one on
big screens. There's one if you turn and look behind you this way, and then there's one if you turn and look that way to the other end zone. But both of those you're not looking at like the people actually playing. Whereas like you just can't see the goal line. So like if you can see 5 yards back. So if it's a pass, you can see the pocket. And then if there's a throw, as long as it's towards the back of the end zone, you can kind of sort of see it.
But the opposite side of like the stadium, they don't have a camera.
I don't think there's a camera there. So those would be well, I don't want to say better seats. I don't want trash my friend's seats. I'm just saying, you know.
Less obstruction.
Yeah, it'd be. I mean, just like, you know. All right. So, you got anything else, or are we gonna end it here, man?
No, I think we're good. I think we're
All
good.
right. All right. Peace.
All right, see ya.